Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The Sandaime Hokage had listened intently at Kakashi's report on the mission to Wave Country, listening to every word spoken, from the day they left to the death of Zabuza on the bridge, and Gato's end at the missing Nin's hand. The old Hokage's still sharp mind was picturing every detail in his head, every action, every word spoken, and every sense of something amiss in this mission. Something he had trained himself to do when it came to important missions like this one, as the councils had insisted Uchiha Sasuke be given a strong mission to ensure necessary stimulation of the boy's eyes to produce the Sharingan in order to further prove the child's legitimacy in being a member of the Uchiha clan, and extend their control of him even deeper. The one thing, which the Sandaime Hokage found disturbing was Genin-ranked shinobi named Sai being killed by two of Gato's thugs, as the child had been appointed by Danzo to the unit, and knew the old warhawk would never have one of his former root shinobi become weak. He also knew the pale-skinned boy would never lose so easily to two hired samurai wannabe goons, which brought into question, who was the boy's killer if not the two thugs, and if there was another individual. Who was he? Where was he? From what Kakashi suspected, the killer was a man named Darth Sage, and recently appointed to be Gato's official business advisor. It could be a covert title for being the businessman's recently hired assassin that handled the man's dirty work or bodyguard to prevent any assassins from being hired. He would have sent Jiraiya to find out about this Darth Sage, but the Sannin had been so irate that Naruto had gotten away 4 years ago, and asked the Sandaime how this had happened. Jiraiya had always possessed mixed feelings on the matter, as he wanted to train Naruto like he had the Yondaime, but given the sensitive nature of the boy's status, and the fact the fox killed Minato had made the Sannin a tad spiteful. Only after hearing Naruto went completely psychotic, performing his own little massacre the same night Itachi did, Jiraiya began to understand the mistake he made regarding the boy, and leaving him to the wolves that hungered for blood. Since then, Jiraiya had been having his spy network working overtime in finding Naruto. His very name was made a red flag should it be spoken, but sadly it never came up, and the closest the Sannin ever even came to having a lead on the boy was in the Land of Iron. A boy matching Naruto's description had come up, as word had spread of an apprentice to a blacksmith, who made a sword of incredible quality, and had been sought after to make more. Jiraiya went to the Land of Iron right away, finding his travel right as a Sannin paying off once more, and found the blacksmith that apparently taught the boy fitting Naruto's description. Sadly, the master blacksmith was unable to determine where his apprentice went, but did indeed confirm the boy was definitely Naruto, even if he didn't tell the man his name, and the Sannin tried every possible direction the kid could have gone. Unfortunately, the boy went off the grid before even becoming a blip on in it, and Jiraiya had become frustrated at his failed attempts to track his godson down. If that is all Kakashi, you may leave, said the Sandaime firmly before making a waving motion for the Junin to leave his office with the majority of Team 7. It wasn't long before Danzo came into the room. Well, storming in was more like it. What's this I hear one of the shinobi I sponsored for the Uchiha's team had been killed? Said Danzo looking angry, which was rare given his control over emotions rivaled the Sandaime's, and he almost never showed them. Yes. Sai was killed officially by two samurai hired by Gato to attack the client's family, said the Sandaime while Danzo narrowed his one uncovered eye at him. And, unofficially, said Danzo with an edge in his voice. A third unknown party, said the Hokage so he didn't give anything away. Who? Said Danzo tapping his cane on the ground slightly. I told you already Danzo. It was an unknown third party, said the Hokage with Danzo frowning even further. It was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, wasn't it? Said Danzo at last with the Sandaime scowling at him. We don't know that. There is no evidence to support such an accusation and you know it, said the Sandaime knowing Danzo had been all over him over losing a potential weapon of the village. I know it him. It has the demon's stench all over it. Had you listened to me, instead of playing the sentimental Hokage to that thing, Konoha would be the most feared and powerful village in all of the elemental countries. We would have ruled the world, said Danzo angrily while the Sandaime had face filled with anger right now. And had it been left up to you, the boy would be a mindless, emotionless monster, and your root conditioning would have risked the integrity of the Shinigami seal. Oh, I know what you would have done to the seal danzo. I know you would have eventually tampered with the seal, to accelerate the boy's progress in being a living weapon, and possibly even done something to take the Kyuubi out of Naruto. Maybe into one of your still very loyal Ixtrit subordinates perhaps. In case you are unaware of this danzo, only an Uzumaki can hold Kyuubi, as anyone else in his place, regardless if they were an adult, or a newborn child would have died. Do you know what would have happened then danzo? The Kyuubi would be free and this village would be destroyed. Your way held a greater level of risk than that of reward for greater power, said the Sandaime rising from his seat and glaring at his rival for this position of power. So what? Such risks are the price for greatness, said Danzo before leaving the room. There is such a thing as paying to higher price danzo. Of course I don't doubt you would pay any price with the exception of your own life, said the Sandaime before going back to the paperwork around on his desk. Gato Kanpani HQ several days later. The massive corporate building stood tall among the other buildings in the second largest city in Fire Country, which was only a few hours away from the capital, and had several hundred employees working tireless. Each person did the job because they were paid to work, and leaving such a massive company would destroy the families of these employees of Gato Kanpani through any and all means at the disposal of Gato himself. When Darth Sage arrived at the building, he along with Haku in her spare Mist Hunter Nin shinobi attire, which he had let her recover from their hideout, plus the mask to help conceal her identity, went to the top of the corporate tower, and went up via the elevator. She had broken down shortly after coming to the realization Zabuza was truly dead and that Darth Sage was her new master until the end of his life or hers. Not much was spoken between the two since the transition, as Darth Sage had kept any, and all conversations between them short to the point. Haku was his tool, as she had specified in her role with Zabuza, and the Sith apprentice was enforcing that role much more than now deceased missing Nin ever did. There was no emotional attachments like Haku had been developing with Zabuza, and if the girl was honest with herself, she missed it. Haku, said Darth Sage quietly, but loudly enough for her to stand straighter at attention, and prepare for an order. Yes, Sage-sama, said Haku quickly and obediently. Stay close. Keep your wits about you at all times when in the meeting room. Gato was a cutthroat businessman, who surrounded himself with other cutthroat businessmen, and will not take to being intimidated by us lightly. Should any of them get out of line, kill all those that do, said Darth Sage coldly, seeing Haku nod. In the short time since Haku had been with her new master, he had vocally expressed his disappointment on how she did not kill using the skills Zabuza had taught her, and would not tolerate it. The young Sith had told Haku that if she didn't kill when ordered to, then he would kill her, and without a single hesitation on his part. Darth Sage wanted a deadly tool that killed when used. Not a one that stunned unless he wished for it. I will not fail you, Sage-sama, said Haku, knowing this was her first real test in being his tool. I know you won't, Haku. I know you won't because you know the price of failing me, said Darth Sage while looking at her masked face for a second. They reached the top floor of the building, the Sith walking with a purpose, and his tool walking right next to him with a few inches of space between them with Darth Sage in the lead. Everyone in their path jumped out of the way, some were thrown out of the way, and those that saw the latter did the former with security being dealt with by Haku after a simple head motion command from her master. Using the Force, the double doors to the office where the board of directors of Gato Kanpani were currently having an important meeting, and ironically enough deciding how to proceed now that Gato was no longer alive. What is the meaning of this? Who the hell are you? Said the CEO of Gato Kanpani, who was a portly man with a small acne problem on his face, and was married to a gold-digging wife currently having intimate relations with a much younger male companion, with the parentage of their 2 children being put into question. My name is Darth Sage. As of right now, I own this company, and all of you, said Darth Sage, as he waited for Haku to throw the man out of his seat at the head of the table, and then sat down in front of the shocked board. Preposterous. Guards. Security, said another member, who was of middle age, graying hair, skinny, and looked very much like a dying tree. Don't bother. They're indisposed of thanks to my assistant here, and you will be too if I feel your presence is bothersome to me, said Darth Sage looking at them all with Sith eyes while sitting on his pre-verbal throne in the corporate office room. What right do you have to claim a seat among us here and/or the right to take control of this company? Said a man in charge of the financial sectors in the West. Through these papers, said Darth Sage, as he brought a scroll, opened it, and slammed the various documents within onto the table. It was Gato's last will and testament. What? This is unbelievable. Gato signed over everything he owns to you. The money, the company, and everything else in his possession. Yours, said the CEO, as he looked over the documents, instantly recognizing Gato's handwriting, his signature, and that it was all legitimate with the Gato Kanpani seal on them. Yes, everything about this company is now mine. From its name down to the last bit of metal made to build every building with it attached. Do any of you have any problems with the idea of me running this company? Because if you do have some kind of problem, please speak up now, and we can resolve this, said Darth Sage calmly while sensing all of their hatred for him. Well, I won't accept this. I don't care what those documents say, Gato would never write, or sign them to give a kid control of this company in the event of his death. I denounce this Abamak, said the member of the board that handled shipping for the northern sector of the elemental countries before he found himself unable to breathe while being levitated out of his seat. And with a quick snap of the neck, he was dead. Anyone else have a problem with me being in charge of this company? Said Darth Sage, seeing the people in the room looking at him in shock, and slowly shake their heads no, since they were too afraid to speak. Time to make them dance to your tune, Kit, said QB with a grin on its face. Excellent. Now, as the new head of this company, there are a few rules I'm going to lay down, and they will be accepted. No excuses. First, my assistant here will be my eyes and ears when I am not around for the daily business of the company on account of other matters that require my attention. She will handle all business matters in my stead. Every order given by her will not challenged. If you do, I will consider it a challenge against me, and you will die painfully. Second, you will announce that a new chairman of Gato Kanpani has been made, but for security reasons the new head of the company chooses to remain anonymous, and will stay that way until further notice. Third, if anyone here tries to betray me, or thinks they can through Haku here, everything that you cherish will be taken from you. Am I understood? Said Darth Sage with a hardened glare at the board of directors, with them all nodding. Of course, Sage-sama. We understand, said the CEO with a fake smile on his face while internally sweating at the threat. Good. This meeting is over. Get out, said Darth Sage, seeing them all leave and shut the door behind them. Permission to speak freely, Sage-sama, said Haku within seconds of the door shut and a sound barrier was in place. You may, said Darth Sage looking at the masked woman slightly from his seat. Sage-sama, I have no understanding of the business world, and how to run a company of this magnitude. I do not know if any decision I make in your absence will be correct or you would even approve of. Said Haku, a bit of fear in her voice while seeing him smile slightly at her. Fear not, Haku. The company itself is a means to an end, and any decision you make will not hurt me in the slightest, said Darth Sage calmly. I will do my best, said Haku, seeing smile more. You have a very calculating mind, Haku. That is crucial in running a company like this one, because it's all about the choices you will make in my place, said Darth Sage while Haku nodded her head in understanding. What do you plan to do now, Sage-sama? Said Haku, as she needed to know what his intentions were now, and how she was involved in them. For now, we will take a tour of my new company, and what is being done here before we do anything. When the time is right, I will make my move, and you will only assist should I wish it, said Darth Sage, as he rose from his chair, and walked out of the room with Haku right behind him. Konoha. Wow. Your teammate Sai died. That must have been harsh, said Kiba, as his team was talking to two members of Team 7, and saw Sasuke wasn't bothered too much while Sakura was a bit shaken by it. Not really. If he died so easily at the hands of those weak thugs, then Sai was clearly weaker, and not worthy of being a shinobi, said Sasuke while lounging about in his seat at the barbecue restaurant they were eating at right now. At least the client's family was kept safe from harm, said Shino while Hinata agreed with him. An annoying family at that. A drunken old man, a sniveling brat, and smiling idiot for a woman, said Sasuke, as he didn't like the family, and didn't want to go back to Wave Country anytime soon. So what was it like, facing off against such a strong opponent? Said Kiba while Sasuke just scoffed again. They weren't that strong. If they had been, our mission would have failed, and the client would be dead, said Sasuke, though his broken nose showed people he took a few hits. Your bandaged nose and flexing of the muscles around your body from remembering the pain say otherwise, said Shino, having kept an observing eye on the Uchiha. What do you know, Aberame? You've never been in my situation, and I doubt your calm persona does little against a former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, said Sasuke while Shino didn't move a muscle. From what you mentioned, you only faced Momoki Zabuza once, and after that you faced someone else with an impressive ability to manipulate water into becoming ice. A bloodline very similar to the Nadaime Hokage if my memory is correct about what the man was known for, said Shino while Sasuke glared at his comment. That bitch got lucky. She's lucky to have escaped before I brought her back to make her rebuild my clan, said Sasuke glaring holes into the Aberrane with his Sharingan active. If you say so, Uchiha. I have heard all I need to hear, said Shino getting up and leaving with Hinata right behind him since the way the Uchiha spoke of the female ice user had been disturbing to hear. Hey, wait up, said Kiba, who was shocked they left, and had to squirm a bit to catch up. Do you think that Haku girl is alive, Sasuke-kun? I mean, Kakashi-sensei did say what his attack was meant for and he did strike her in the heart, says Sakura having been told by Kakashi of what his attack was and how it worked. If she's not dead, Haku better pray to Kami we never meet again because I will break her, and the girl will know her place, said Sasuke venomously while glaring angrily at the table with his Sharingan. Elsewhere in Konoha, so your genin got a little roughed up and one of them died. That's a shame. My team is going to be given a C rank tomorrow, but nothing too dangerous, and I know they won't freeze in place from such threats, said Asuma knowing Ino was going to be a difficult nut to crack in breaking out of her Uchiha fangirl stage. What concerns me is this Darth Sage character, who apparently was Gato's advisor, of sorts, and now he's in the wind without any way to track him, said Kakashi while reading his book. What about the Haku girl? In your report, you said the girl took a direct hit to the chest with your Chidori, and wouldn't last much longer. How did she escape the bridge? Said Kurenai seeing Kakashi shrug. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't really think she would survive long after being hit, and possibly fell off the bridge, said Kakashi while Guy shook his head. It's such a shame. A strong youthful girl like that being made to serve Momoki Zabuza and dying protecting him. If only she had been brought back to Konoha. Her youthful life would have been so much better, said Guy while Kurenai scoffed. Hardly. The councils would have demanded the Hokage put the poor girl in some kind of breeding program or forced to be made the Uchiha's wife, said Kurenai with disgust in her voice. How is your team doing, Kurenai? I bet they're quite a handful with all three of them being clan heirs, right? Said Kakashi knowing Kurenai had been given high expectations with her team and showing she had what it took to be a Junin sensei. Shino is well trained in his bugs and keeps a cool head. Something Kiba needs to work on given his Inuzuka pride. Hinata is different from the usual members of the Hyuga we're used to seeing. She's shy, but I see a great deal of potential in her, and just need to find something to bring it out, said Kurenai while the girl's father had been less than helpful in the matter. Hinata needed something to turn her life around or, the life of a Hyuga branch member with the cage bird seal on her forehead was a possible future. I'm sure you'll think of something, Kurenai, said Asuma while Guy nodded in agreement to his words. Gato Kanpani HQ a few weeks later. What is your bidding, Sage Sama? Said Haku, as she was summoned to the Sith's office, which he had modeled into a throne room, and kneeled before her master. In the past few weeks since the Sith had risen to power at Gato Kanpani, many different things had changed in the building, and not just the offices. First, Darth Sage had given all the employees an increase in pay, even the board of directors got more to ensure they wouldn't protest the idea of giving the drones more money, and directing resources to forming a spy network using the employees of the company scattered throughout the elemental countries. Darth Sage knew that when people, regardless of being civilians, or shinobi enter a store they have this compelling urge to talk without realizing they were being overheard. Such foolish and stupid people. Another thing the young Sith apprentice did was set up his place of residency within the top floor of the company itself and set up a private training area so keep his skills sharp while they kept growing. Haku was also granted a room to herself, to put in it whatever she wanted, and would train herself to get stronger. Darth Sage suggested she improve her taijutsu and expand her ninjutsu arsenal outside of water since there could be times when where water would be scarce if not non-existent. At the same time, Haku wanted to wield weapons that would suit her for close combat, and her master seeing this had been able to acquire the perfect set of weapons for her in the pair of Seius the inventory of the various weapons the company illegally sold in various circles. Ironically, The sayas themselves were from mist, used in a time before swords became the village's main weapon, and used the most out of the Great Five in terms of practice. With these weapons, her speed, and taijutsu practice being blended into it, the female ice user knew she would be a formidable warrior ready to defend the Sith with everything she had. I am heading out to go see the kazekage in Suna later today. There is something going on there that requires my attention, said Darth Sage while Haku stayed kneeling in front of him. May I inquire to what the business with the kazekage is, Sage-sama? Said Haku, as she sensed his already dark presence get slightly darker, and knew asking the question was the wrong thing to do. No. All you need to know is I will be heading there. Nothing more. You will run this company in my place until my return, which won't be for at least a week, and I don't want the others to know either. Even now they plot against me, yet won't do anything unless an opportunity presents itself, and I can't let that happen, said Darth Sage sensing Haku's confusion. If you know they conspire against you, then, why not kill them? Said Haku hearing her master chuckle from his seat of power. Because they amuse me. They scheme, plot, and squabble with each other over how to wrestle the company from my grip. They will find nothing, said Darth Sage even with Haku's worry over this matter growing through the force. My master, what if they alert Konoha, and request you be removed by assassination? Said Haku before the room became consumed in the darkness of her master and seemed to be suffocating her in the process. It will make no difference. Any Leaf shinobi sent against me will be destroyed along with their employers. You worry over nothing, Haku. I do not want a worrisome tool for a weapon or a bodyguard. Perhaps, I was mistaken in letting you live, and cheating death, Haku, said Darth Sage in a menacing tone with Haku shaking her head no. I am not being worrisome, Sage-sama. I merely wish to protect you from all unforeseen foes, said Haku finding the darkness being less oppressive if only slightly. I don't have any unforeseen enemies, said Darth Sage with Haku nodding slightly in understanding. Forgive me, my master, said Haku knowing any form of mercy he showed was like a canteen of water in a desert. Since I have to leave for Suna soon, I have no choice, but to spare you my wrath, and show mercy, if only for the moment, said Darth Sage in letting his threat to Haku's health in the distant future imprint itself into the girl's mind. I await your return, my master, said Haku before looking up to see the Sith wave her away and she obediently left his sight. Already on the move, I see. You run the risk of being noticed by Leaf shinobi and their spies, said Kyubi seeing its vessel just shrug. I had a vision of the future. The dark side surrounded the Leaf in an upcoming event gone wrong that turned into an all-out battle. The dark side of the Force extends itself from Konoha to Suna and an area in Rice Country where I saw a large snake poised to strike at Konoha, thought Darth Sage with Kyubi raising an eyebrow at him. And you're going to save the very village that scorned you. Why? Said Kyubi while Plagueis just let out a chuckle. You're not going to save your village from destruction, my young apprentice. You are going to kill them slowly like one would use a poison to kill their enemies. That's very cruel of you, my apprentice, said Plagueis seeing his student smirk while Kyubi's eyes widened. It is the Sith way, my master, thought Darth Sage, as he summoned a business carriage to pick him up before heading down, and ordered the driver to take him to the Fire, Wind Country border once in it. I approve. Do what you need to do, my apprentice, said Plagueis from within the boy's mind. Yes, my master, thought Darth Sage knowing he was going to make his master proud. Sooner several days later, a sandstorm had blown through the shinobi village earlier that day and had not stopped in the slightest, with the people living there having to take shelter. This was nothing new to them, of course, as sandstorm hit Suna every so often like a rainstorm in a jungle, and was just as serious if not careful. However, while others were locked inside their homes, safely tucked away from the cruel wind, and sand rising around them, there was only one person not safely inside. He was Darth Sage, Dark Lord of the Sith, well, soon to be Dark Lord of the Sith in a few years in any case. At the moment, he was walking to the kazekage's tower, where the leader of Suna was currently spending his time working on paperwork, ignoring the storm outside, and going through the plans for the invasion that would come to Konoha during the Chunin exam finals. Due to the wind daimyo cutting their budget and hiring Leaf shinobi over those in his own village, the kazekage was feeling trapped in a situation that was making Suna bleed out slowly like a kunai cutting against the jugular. Orochimaru had come to see him about 6 months ago, talking about a way for Suna to rise to the top again, and knock the Leaf down several pegs while learning humility through painful defeat. The kazekage was reluctant to accept at first, But the more he listened to Orochimaru, the more things made sense, and the man accepted the idea of hurting the leaf. So, the plans for the invasion were nearly set. A map of the terrain around the leaf had been measured out to the last detail thanks to the Sannin's anonymous benefactor within the village, who knew the landscape even better than Orochimaru himself did, and had marked down the key places for their forces to strike. Snake summons, which the Sannin was providing him a temporary contract for, would be used to bash through the walls of the leaf from the outside, and Sabaku no Gara would strike from within in a classic pincer movement that would overwhelm Konoha entirely. Victory would be theirs. A scuffle outside the door brought him out of his thoughts, however, as he looked up from his work, hearing a brief cry out of pain in surprise, and was greeted by the door opening to see a robed hooded figure enter the room. Looking past the door, the kazekage could see his two bodyguards were dead, slain by the shadowy colored sword in the attacker's hands, and silently shut the door behind him with a gesture of his left hand. Who are you? Said the kazekage, slowly rising from his chair and gauging this child assassin with his own eyes. Someone you need to shut up and listen to, kazekage, said Darth Sage coldly while the man glared at him from behind his desk. You come into my village, kill my bodyguards, and you have the nerve to talk like that to me. Give me one good reason why I don't just set off the alarm that will have every shinobi in Suna running here to crush you. Said the kazekage with a shadowy smirk, being seen, if just barely, on the hooded form of Darth Sage, and seeing it grow to show sharp teeth. Because Kazekage-sama, it would be foolish on your part to order the death of your new financial benefactor, said Darth Sage, seeing the man's eyes widen at this news. You want to invest in Suna? In what way? Said the kazekage, seeing the boy flick his sword clean of any residual blood on it, which the man personally hadn't seen, and then sheathing the weapon. In a big way, Kazekage-sama. However, I'm hesitant to do so for a certain reason, and I'm not sure you're going to like that reason, said Darth Sage before sitting down in the chair across from the man. And what reason is that? Said the kazekage with suspicion, since for all he knew this was a test by Orochimaru or a spy sent here by Jiraiya of the Sannin probing the village's loyalty. You plan to betray Konoha and side with Orochimaru in crushing it during the Chunin exams, said Darth Sage, seeing the man's eyes widen further in surprise. How does he know that? I've made sure no one knew of this, thought the kazekage while the boy just smirked. Calm yourself, Kazekage-sama. Being stressed over this isn't healthy. As I stated earlier to you, I'm hesitant to do business with you on account of the actions your village will take against the leaf, and you're siding with Orochimaru of the Sannin to do it, said Darth Sage with the kazekage's eyes narrowing at him. So that's how it is. You're some kind of businessman with close ties to the leaf, and you are willing to do business with Suna in exchange for not doing what we plan to do. If we don't, you'll take your business elsewhere. Am I right? Said Kazekage, seeing the boy just continue smiling at him. Mostly. I am a businessman, but I don't have any close ties with the leaf, and I too wish to see it destroyed. However, my method is much more subtle, quiet, and undetectable to those looking at the situation for historical purposes, said Darth Sage with the smile on his face growing. An almost amused tone when he spoke had filled the air, and seeing the kazekage was greatly confused by his admissions about the leaf. I don't understand, said the kazekage, seeing those eyes the boy had glow with some kind of darkness in them. Suna is officially on paper an ally of the Leaf Village, which is currently hosting this year's Chunin exams, and has put you place of opportunity twice over, said Darth Sage, as he saw the kazekage once again looked puzzled, and the young Sith wondered if the man was truly an idiot. Enlighten him, said QB, knowing the man needed some form of education on his part to properly understand the complexity of this situation. Let me explain. Your village will participate in the Chunin exams, you will use only your best genin teams to enter, and show them off to prospective clients during the finals in their one-on-one matches. By showing Suna's potential, clients will come your village over the leaf, and show your daimyo the error of his ways in cutting your budget. That is the first part in which you benefit from the exams because you have the perfect team in mind to make it to the Chunin exam finals, said Darth Sage with the kazekage just nodding his head and not bothering to deny what the boy already knew. I do have such a team. For the second part, you mentioned that could bring Suna back its place of greatness, and topple the leaf. Said the kazekage, seeing the boy's smile grow a little bit more. Yes. You aid the leaf against Orochimaru's forces that plan to invade, said Darth Sage with the kazekage rising from his seat and anger on his face. No. Out of the question. The leaf has been bleeding us dry because of our alliance with them, and it's through that alliance the Wind Daimyo has given them missions instead of us. I will not help the leaf fight off Orochimaru. said the kazekage and saw the Sith's smile fade into a scowl. Sit down, Kazekage-sama. Sit down or I will make you sit down, said Darth Sage coldly while looking the man dead in the eyes. Why should I side with the leaf when I'm about to crush them? Said the kazekage after several minutes of sitting back down in his chair. Because if you manipulate this just right, Suna comes out as the honorable heroes people think the leafer, and bring even greater fame to your village. Think about it for 1 second. The infamous Orochimaru of the Sannin invade Konoha to crush it permanently beneath his feet, thinking his forces alone can grant him victory, and kill the Sandaime Hokage. However, Suna swoops in on your order, Kazekage-sama. You learn of it at the last minute, but have no time in properly informing the leaf, or its Hokage of the threat this impending invasion will cause due to time not being on your side. So you mobilize your force to aid your ally, wipe out Orochimaru's troops before they can do any serious damage, and then Orochimaru himself caught between two villages with nowhere to go, said Darth Sage, as he spun the tale with such a honey-sweet voice that the kazekage was entranced by it, and using the force on him through it all to nudge him towards the idea didn't hurt either. Such an action would make Suna look good in the eyes of the prospective clients and the different feudal lords watching the Chunin exams when Orochimaru strikes. I would have to wait until he causes damage to the leaf so everyone can turn their heads to see what is going on, and see Suna rushing in to save the day, said the kazekage seeing the boy smirk again at him. It's not your village. Let Orochimaru's forces have some minor fun when invading the leaf before you ruin it for them, said Darth Sage with the kazekage liking this idea more and more. It was far better than Orochimaru's plan, which he realized would make Suna look like backstabbing traitors, and untrustworthy in the eyes of potential clients. What was he thinking? So we stay allied to the leaf, get the fame, recognition, and the clients away from them in one single day. What about you? What do you get from all of this? Said the kazekage with a raised eyebrow. Me. Nothing. Except perhaps, I make the leaf look incompetent, arrogant, and basically make clients rethink hiring their shinobi for any missions that require such skills. I want the leaf to fall hard if not all the way. I don't want them to go away loudly with a bang, but in a silent whimper, and crying at seeing their so-called greatness being stripped away by my genius, said Darth Sage while the kazekage was surprised a kid that young could be so vengeful against the leaf. Kami, they must have really screwed him over, thought the kazekage while wincing at the realization Gaara would one day be vengeful too if he wasn't careful. Maybe having a high-quality seal master take another look at it wouldn't be a bad idea. To prevent Orochimaru from suspecting something, make it seem like you are still on his side, but don't meet with him, or any of his associates for that matter outside of the village. I sense he will try something in order to meet his own goals and does not have your best interests at heart, said Darth Sage, as the Force showed him the kazekage dying in the desert, and Orochimaru taking his place just before the invasion. While the Sith didn't care what happened to the kazekage in the long run, right now the man was a necessary pawn in this game, and Plagueis had always taught him to use the pieces on the board to their maximum potential. Something that Darth Sage planned to do with the Wind Shadow until the man was too deep in his own actions to recognize his own mistake when it came to dealing with the Sith. But Orochimaru wanted me to meet with several of his subordinates for the final stages of the invasion plan. If I don't, he'll become suspicious, and question my resolve, said the kazekage seeing the Sith apprentice wave that worry away. Use what I did outside your office as an excuse. You have one of your subordinates in on this plan, meet up with them and explain the assassination attempt. The village is under high alert and you don't want any of the Leaf spies picking up on anything that might tip them off. Just remind Orochimaru that Jiraiya of the Sannin spy network is not to be underestimated and he'll get off your back, said Darth Sage with the kazekage nodding in understanding. And you'll fund our village in the process, said the kazekage to remind the Sith of his offer to be a financial backer of Suna. Of course. I now own all of Gato Kanpani and I can spend the money any way I want to spend it. I choose to spend it on Suna, said Darth Sage, as he saw the kazekage's eyes widen in shock. You're running that Gato Kanpani now. I had heard Gato had died and a new anonymous chairman had been appointed to run it. But I never thought a kid would take control of it, said the kazekage with the boy letting out a chuckle. Not many people have the privilege of knowing this tidbit of information. I want it to stay like that for now. If the Leaf knew of my existence, they would hunt me down for some past discretions made against them, and if they succeed in taking me away, you lose funding. A lot of funding along with a new enemy you don't want to have in your life, said Darth Sage in a tone that made the kazekage realize that betraying the Sith's trust would result in retribution from the boy physically, and financially on Suna itself. Of course, I would never do anything to jeopardize the safety of my village or risk the chance for Suna to once more rise to greatness, said the kazekage sweetly while he was sweating on the inside at the threat. I know you won't. Thank you for your time, said Darth Sage, as he left the room, and shut the door behind him with the force. Gato Kanpani HQ. What is this nonsense? Said the CEO of Gato Kanpani, as he saw the young Sith levitate various business venture reports to him, and the other members of the board of directors. You heard me. We're going to do business in Wave Country, but unlike last time with my predecessor, this will be a less hostile version of how to do things, and the people there will have a thriving economy through our products. The company that had almost become the destruction will now become their salvation through the very bridge they built to the mainland, said Darth Sage while the members of the board were not happy with this news. But, we lose more money than we gain. You wish to provide funding for schools and hospitals there with no guarantee money will return enough for us to make a profit, said a wrinkled face man, who looked like he should retire in the next month, and should have retired years ago. Gentlemen, you are looking at the big picture. As usual, you only see what is in your wallet and how to make it fatter. I am doing this because we are a shipping company, and like any shipping company, we need people to ship our goods to should they need things. Now, my predecessor had this idea where he would basically suffocate Wave Country and bend it to his will so they had no choice in buying things from him at overinflated prices. While this is a good business decision in the good old days when everyone here around me was much younger, it's considered far out of date to work in these times, said Darth Sage, as he rose from his seat, and walking around the table while picking up the various emotions with the thoughts behind them. Gato could have succeeded though. He could have owned Wave Country with enough time given to the project, said one of the members of the board the Sith had just walked past. If that's true, then how would the people buy things from him, and the company when they are all dead? I saw the people of Wave Country before Gato's fall. They were either dead or dying. People in that condition are very bad for business. Gato didn't know when to stop the suffocation process because he enjoyed seeing it too much and ate like a king while they didn't even have enough meat on their bones to eat each other. Gato lacked finesses, was a cheap man, who spent the bare minimum, and refused to pay what was owed to those that earned it. Don't deny it. He was even stingy on your own paychecks, and everything you did wrong could have warranted a pay cut as punishment, said Darth Sage, seeing them squirm under his gaze. So you wish to show our company now has a humane side and reveal it to the people of Wave Country, said the CEO at last when Darth Sage sat down and saw the boy nod. Yes. Officially, we are what this company legally is on paper, so we will act as such, but everything else that we sell illegally will involve us doing business with shinobi villages, and giving them an edge. When we give one village something good, we give the rival village something better, and always have something on hand to make them come back for more, said Darth Sage, seeing the idea was making money off the different shinobi villages more willing to serve him. Still, it didn't mean they wanted the Sith to rule the company, and still planned to find a way to overthrow him. Do the people of Wave Country know about this? Said Hibiki Goro, in charge of the Gato Kanpani's overall transport coordination system. Yes. I sent a shadow clone to them 2 days ago. The Wave Daimyo was a bit terrified at first in dealing with Gato's successor, but I was able to convince him, and he agreed to let our company do business using only the bridge while not doing anything to alter the structure in any way, said Darth Sage, seeing they were very impressed by his actions. What else do you have planned, Sage-sama? Said Masuyo Kenshin, wanting to know more of the ingenious ways the boy had Wayne to do business. You will know things only when I want you to know. Nothing sooner or later will be told until it's needed to be told. Is that understood? Said Darth Sage with the board of directors around him nodding. We understand, sir, said CEO when he realized they weren't going to get anything out of him. Good. Now, as for any other additional plans for the future, I will say that soon I will be heading out to stretch my legs out for a bit, and get out of the office for a while. Nothing too long, of course, said Darth Sage while Haku's face showed shock, but was hidden behind her mask, and looked through it at him all the while wondering what was going on inside his head. Any place in particular, Sage-sama? We know several places in the red light district in the city where the entertainment helps businessmen like us to relax, said Goro, as he had been a visitor there on several occasions, and enjoyed his time being entertained. Nothing you would enjoy. Besides, While I run this company, you fail to realize I am still considered a child, and doubt those places would even let me in. Even if they did, I'm not interested in enjoying the sinful pleasures of the flesh just yet, and will wait a little longer to indulge myself like you do, said Darth Sage, earning a few chuckles from the other members knowing of their fellow board members' vice surrounding that area of the city. With the meeting soon over, the young Sith left last for his office with Haku right beside him, and waited for the doors to close with a sound barrier being put up to ensure further privacy. Following him halfway into the room, Haku stopped at her position she knew was her place to stand, and waited for Darth Sage to sit on his throne. Is everything going according to plan, my master? Said Haku, as she saw him close his eyes for a moment before opening them, and smiling down at her. Yes, Haku. It is. I wasn't lying when I told the board of directors I would be heading out to stretch my legs, as that is what I intend to do, and I have an interesting idea on where to get more recruits, said Darth Sage, seeing Haku's face move slightly at the mention of others. Other tools, said Haku with a mix of hope, suspicion, and maybe fear, perhaps. Yes. While you are a useful tool, Haku, I need more than one, and it would be foolish of me to constantly use you for everything, said Darth Sage to her question while sensing her disappointment at the fact others would be joining to share the duty of being so close to him. I understand, Sage-sama, but how will you recruit them? Said Haku curiously, as she didn't know where he would look for additional forces, and heard his chuckle echoing throughout the room. Isn't it obvious? I'm going to raid the Chunin exams being held in Konoha this year, said Darth Sage with a grin on his face while Haku's shock was apparent, even with the mask on, and knew this was very bold on his part. Darth Sage, the daring one. Darth Sage, the bold one. That's what you will be known for in regards to being a Sith, right? Said QB with Plagueis agreeing with the fox. You are getting pretty ambitious, my apprentice. Be mindful of your current limits and that you have yet to reach your full potential, said Plagueis while Darth Sage mentally nodded to his masters and guests within his body. I understand, my masters, but the Force tells me that the moment to recruit such tools to my side will only occur during this window of time, and a Sith never wastes a perfect opportunity to get what he wants, thought Darth Sage while Plagueis and QB looked at each other. He has a point. If he's going to recruit potential tools to his side, these exams would be the opening, and like the kid just said, a Sith doesn't ignore opportunity when it knocks, said QB with Plagueis reaching out to the Force and sensed his apprentice was indeed correct. Yes. Such an action would be considered the will of the Force, but just because it is the will of the Force that compels you, it doesn't mean you can simply just go into the thick of danger without looking, and trust the Force will not cause harm. It tends to have the opposite effect, said Plagueis with his apprentice nodding and thinking clearly on the matter. I won't act before thinking, my master, thought Darth Sage, knowing each move he made had to be precise and had no room for error. He may be a bold Sith, but Darth Sage was not stupid, and didn't plan on becoming one anytime soon. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.